Hashem on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph towards the bottom of the page. Going on to Daf Yud Zayin Beis. Today is the 27th day of the month of Menachem Av, and Baruch Hashem, we are in the midst of a machlokus between Rav and Levi, how to understand the statement of Rabbi Yossi ben Yozer, whether or not there was a heter, a ptur of liquids that came from the base mitvechai or base the slaughterhouse, the base Hamikdash, or base midvechai from the mizbech. The difference, of course, being that the slaughterhouse only contained water and blood, and the mizbech also holds not just water and blood, but also holds the oil and wine. And the bottom of the Amud on Daf Yud Amud Aleph, the Gemara had already quoted a brisa that agrees with Levi. And two lines from the bottom of the page says the Gemara Tanya Kavasa the Rav. We also have a brisa that agrees with the opinion of Rav. What's this brisa? Hadam hamayim mamashke base mit vechaya, blood and water, liquids that come from the slaughterhouse, shenitmu, that became tame, bein bekelim, bein bekarka, whether they are in kelim or they are in the ground, taharim, they are going to be tahar. And that seems to be a dead giveaway. That opinion goes according to the opinion of Rav, that these are liquids that came from base mit vechaya, and that's dam and mayim. Turning over the page to the Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon, Omer Rabbi Shimon says, hakelim tameim bekarka bekelim tameim, that if these liquids are in kelim, they are going to be tamei, but karka, but if they are in the ground, they are going to be tahar. Rashi points out that Rabbi Shimon Omer bekelim tameim, Rabbi Shimon letami da Amr le'el. This is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon above, who told us that Tumas Mashkin Deraisa, that the liquids are tamei on a level of Deraisa, but Filu Tamei Cherem can also make other things tamei. But that's a din only with regards to kelim. He disagrees with the Tanakh of the Brisa with regards to kelim, but he agrees things in the ground are going to be tahar. Amar Rav Papa says, I feel Amanda Amar Tumas Mashkin Deraisa, even according to the opinion, meaning that's Shimon, that says that Tumas Mashkin are Deraisa, Mashkin base mit vechaya hilchas gemirila. When it comes to the liquids of the base mit vechaya, of the mit vechaya from the slaughterhouse, that's wine and that's water and blood, that is actually at the bottom of the slaughterhouse of the base of Hamikdash, mashke base mit vechaya hilchas gemirila. That is a halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Halacha l'Moshe Sinai that these things do not have any have any tumah. What is halacha l'Moshe Sinai? It means something that doesn't have a pasuk in the Torah to teach it to you, and it is passed on generation after generation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu to the rest of the Jewish people. Doesn't have any remez in the Torah whatsoever. That's what the Rambam writes in the Hakdama to the Mishnah Torah. Meaning we have dinim de'araisa that are in the pasuk. We have dinim de'araisa that are learned out of the pasuk. That's the 13 attributes the Torah is derived from the Yomi Midrash HaTorah Dirshu B'Aim. That's all part of Torah Sheba'al Peh. And then you have certain things that have no remes in the Torah, but they're also a din de'araisa. For example, your tefillin have to be black and they have to be square. Those are dinim de'araisa, but halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So the Papa says that Tumas Mashkin of the Mashkin base mit vechaya are hilchas gemirla halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Amalei Rav Huna says to him by the brave Rav Nasan, Rav Papa, the son of Rav Nasan, says to Rav Papa, he says, Ve'ela, if that's true, V'hada Amar Rabbi Eliezer, but didn't Rabbi Eliezer say, Ein tumah l'mashkim kol ikar, that there is no tumah of liquids at all? Teda, how do I know this? Sha'arei hey Yos ben Yozer is shreida, Amesh mashkebes mit v'chayet dechan, because didn't Yos ben Yozer testified to the fact that the liquids of the base mit v'chaya are tahar. But if this is a din that's halacha l'mishum Sinai, mi gamrin mina, you wouldn't be allowed to learn anything out of it. One of the restrictions of halacha l'mishum Sinai is because it is not learned logically or textually, it cannot be used to prove anything else. Meaning, we know that tefillin are black, but does that mean that anything else has to be painted black? No, you can't learn anything from it. You know this din and this din only. You know that tefillin are square. Nothing else then necessarily has to be square as a result of that. How can you say that I know that liquids are going to be tahar because of this din of Yes ben Yazer Yisreda, but the Maseches mitvachaya? It says if it's halacha l'mishum, Rabbi Eliezer wouldn't be able to learn anything from it. It cannot be that this is a unique separate din. Ravina says Rav Ashi back to Rav Ashi an additional challenge is Vahar Rabbi Shimon the Amar Tumas Masha Deraisa, and Rabbi Shimon who holds that Tumas Masha Deraisa, the Tanya Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Omrim, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Shimon both hold lekelim taharim. With regards to kelim, they're going to be tahar. Vessels are going to be tahar. La'oichlin, but with regards to food, tmeim, they are going to be tamei v'hachik amar. And this is here Rabbi Shimon says bekelim tmeim bekarka tahar, that in kelim vessels are going to be tamei, and in the ground is going to be tahar. V'i hilchasahi, and if this is in fact halacha l'mashim Sinai, mali bekelim mali bekarka, then it wouldn't make any difference whether or not it was a din in kelim or in karka. If liquids are going to be tahar, then they're going to be tahar no matter where they are. So how can Rabbi Shimon come along and say that it's only kelim they're going to be tamei, but karka in the ground they're still going to be tahar? It doesn't make sense if this was halacha l'mashim Sinai that there would be any level of differentiation. Kasha. So that's that's difficult. That proves for Papa wrong that this cannot be a halacha l'mashim Sinai. Amar Papa says, the Amar bekarka taharim, that din that we say that bekarka taharim, that it is tar in the ground, loy shanu ela mayim. That din is only true with regards to water. That's true with regards to water. Aval dam loy, blood, it would not be the case. Why? It says mayim nami loy amran ela dahavi revius dechazi lahatil bay machdim mitzinaris. And with regards to liquids in the ground, the only thing that we're talking about is water that is connected to the ground, meaning it's a mikveh mayim, and it has the shear of a revius. Why the shear of a revius? Because the shear of revius is the smallest amount of liquid that would be a kosher mikveh on a level of deraisa. Because you'd be able to dip a needle or a small tube. Aval lo have a revius tmim. But if it doesn't have a revius, then tmim, it even according to Rabbi Shimon, it must be that this is tamei. Meaning, Rabbi Shimon held that Rabbi Yosef ben Yazer was not testifying about blood, but his din was only about water, and that is only a revius of water that is in the ground. Why would this be the din? Because Rabbi Shimon holds that a revius of water, according to everybody, the way the Rav Papa is learning this, is always going to be tahar. It's always going to be tahar if it is connected to the ground, but bekelim, but if it is collected in a kli, then that would not be the case. Why would it be that revius of water is always going to be tahar? Because the revius of water is on a level of deraisa. It is a mikveh for very tiny items. Don't we say that a mikveh is always going to be 40 saw? So the Gemara is understanding here that 40 saw, which works out to somewhere around 1,000 liters, that 40 saw is the minimum shear of a mikveh for a person, because that's the minimum amount of liquid that a person would be able to be tovel themselves in. What about for kelim? So we also pass on that you need a mikveh of 40 saw. Is that a din d'oraisa? No. Apparently that is that's a standard that is instituted by the Rabbanan. But if you would have a sufficient amount of liquid that is collected in a bar to be tovel that thing on a level of d'oraisa, that would be a kosher mikveh. Now, since the Chachamim have told us that a kosher mikveh requires 40 saw, we still pass on that is in fact the case. But on a level of deraisa, what that means is that amount of water cannot become tamei. Meaning, the Chachamim couldn't institute tumah for that amount of water, even if they say it's not a good mikvah on a level of derabanan. Amar Mar. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the opinion that we mentioned 2 days ago, the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that it's tamei and it makes everything else tamei. That all liquids can become tamei and can make everything else tamei. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda says the kol tamei, that it is tamei for everything. Says the Gemara, hold up a second. Does that imply that Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that tumas mashkin, that liquids, can become tamei in order to be metame kelim? They could be metame vessels, deraisa, on a level of deraisa. Is that a possibility? And didn't we learn in a brisa mishnah? Sorry, kol kelim sheyesh lahem achoraim v'toich. Any vessels that have both an inside and an outside, they have an achoraim, means an outside, v'toich, and an inside. Kigain. For example, what has an inside and outside? Kigain. Hakarim v'akastas v'asakin v'hamarzufim. Pillows, mattresses, sacks, marzufim, bags, meaning they can be folded inside and out. Nitma taichai, if it became tamei on the inside. So nit megaba, then it's tamei on the outside as well. Nit megaba, if it became tamei on the outside, meaning something tamei touched on the outside, loy nit metaychai, then the inside did not necessarily become tamei. So if you have it filled up with something, it's not necessarily going to be tamei. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, where do we say this? Din shenitmu machmas mashkin. That is, if it became tamei as a result of a liquid. Aval nitmu machmas sheretz, but if it became tamei as a result of a sheretz, nitmu taicha, nitmu gaba, nitmu gaba, nitmu taicha. Then it doesn't make a difference which side became tamei. Both sides are going to become tamei. The only dispensation is with regards to liquids. Now here comes the question. If you are of the opinion that tumas mashkin letame kelim deraisa, that tumas mashkin can be metame kelim vessels, meaning non-people foods, on level of deraisa. What difference would it make if it was a sheretz or liquids that became tamei that splashed on the outside or the inside of the kli? It wouldn't make a difference. Sheretz is exactly the same thing. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, says Rabbi Yehuda, and then Rabbi Shmuel. Chasaba Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda retracted his opinion. You're right. Rabbi Yehuda originally thought that tumas mashkin were deraisa to be metame everything, and then he retracted that opinion. He doesn't think that that's the case anymore. Ravina says, no, la'ilam lo'yhadar ba. Yeah, he never retracted his opinion. Haba mashkin habayin machmas yadayin, haba mashkin habayin machmas sheretz. There are two different kinds of mashkin here. There are mashkin that only have that became tamei as a result of tumas yadayim, meaning the Chachamim instituted that if your hands are a sheni l'tumah, when they come in contact with the liquid could make that a rishon l'tumah, meaning that's the din derabanan that we saw a couple of days back. That the Chachamim instituted that tumas yadayim can increase the level of tumah on a level of derabanan. But liquids that came as a result of a sheretz, that became tamei as a result of coming in contact with a dead creepy crawly. So that would be that is where he agrees. But with regards to mashkin haban machmas yadayim, so if it's splashed on the outside and not on the inside, that's where Rabbi Yehuda is going to be mekel. Ihachi, says the Gemara, if that's so, the fact that it says where these things relevant, that became as a result, that became tamei as a result of liquids. Says the Gemara, so then teach two different kinds of liquids. Where these things stayed with mashkin and by machmas diadaim. Rabbi Yehuda is mekel with regards to liquids that came as a result of tumas yadayim. But with regards to something that became tamei as a result of a sheretz, so if it was tamei on the inside, it's tamei on the outside. Became tamei, the outside became tamei on the inside. So it must be like we concluded earlier that Rabbi Yehuda has retracted his opinion. But as Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with the Gemara's question about what exactly his retraction included. We'll see that by Hashem Yisbarach tomorrow morning. Everybody should have a beautiful day.